Hi guys, this is Ranish Malhan from Pixcompose. Today we are going to move further in our course, which is Photoshop for beginners. If you have any doubts regarding the previous sessions, you can ask me on the live chat. And if you get any doubts regarding the today's session, you can ask me on the same. So let's get started with the pen tool. We saw little bit about the pen tool in the previous session. We created some shapes, we also created some paths, we also traced this camera. If I go here, you can see that we also traced that in the last session. So we know how to use the pen tool. We also created some shapes with the shape tool. This one is the shape tool. So today we will start editing these shapes. We will look at how we can manipulate the pen tool shapes, or you can say the vector shapes. So for that I am going to create a new document. I have created a new document already. So to select the pen tool, I have to use the P shortcut key. So P is the shortcut key. I can type it here in the live chat. So P is the shortcut key for the pen tool. So now when I press P key, you can see that I am getting a new cursor here. It's like a pen nib. You can notice that. Now if I create a shape like this one is linear shape. You can see that there is no curve here, but if I want to create a curve, you can see that I have to click and drag the mouse. You can see that I can adjust a curve here. Now if I click further, again I have to click and drag to adjust the curve. Now if I go back to the first point, I can click here and close the shape like this. You can see that we are getting a path here instead of shape. How we can get the shape? If I accidentally created a shape with the pen tool in the path mode, you can see that we have the path mode, but we want a shape. We have to click here. If I click here, you can see that it will convert these paths into the shape. So we have a new layer here. This one is the shape layer. I can change the color of the shape if I want. I can click here, double click here. You will have the color picker. We can change the color from here very easily like this. So in this way we can manipulate the pen tool. This one is the basic way to manipulate the pen tool. So I am going to delete it. So now if I want to create a shape with the pen tool, for that I have to change the mode to the shape. Now I can create a shape very easily. At this time I want to change the color of the shape. I can double click again here. I can change the color very easily. You can see that we have the stroke. You can notice that we have a black outline around the shape. This one is the outline, the black outline. We can increase the width of the outline like this. So you can notice the change in the width of the pen tool stroke. So we can change the stroke outline very easily. For that I have to press the P key. So now I am in the pen tool. You can see that we have options in the options bar. We can remove the stroke by clicking here. If I go here to select a color, you can see that we have this icon. I can click here and the stroke is removed. Or I can reduce the stroke pixels, stroke width to 0 like this. If I increase it, it will again have the color and have the stroke. So we can change the stroke very easily if I click here. So now I can have the dashed profile. If I click here, I can change it. If I click here on the more options, I can go here. So right now you can see that the strokes stroke is inside the shape. I want it on the center, which means it will be half in the inside and half will be on the outside. So for that I can go to the align and select the center. You can see that now we have the stroke half inside and half outside. Now if I want the stroke at the outside of the shape, for this I can go here and select the outside. You can see now the stroke is fully on the outer side of the shape. So now we can change the caps. You can notice that we have the sharp edges here. I can round it. You can see that we have now round edges. We can also add the square cap. This will add the pixels, the linear pixels. That's why we have some sharp edges. This is without the cap. This is with the round cap. This one is with the linear cap. So in this way we can manage this. Also we can manage the corners. If you look here, I can change the profile back to this solid. Now you can see that right now the bending is very sharp. If I commit this change and zoom in to this corner, you can see that this one is very sharp. We can create a new shape which will be more sharper than this, like this one. So I am going to add a stroke here. For that I am going to increase it like this. Now at this time what we will do, we will go back here, and at this time I will change the corners to round. You can see that there is no effect of that because the stroke is inside of the shape. But as I change the mode of the corners, I can go here and now I can change it. I can change the alignment. You can see that we have the round corners here, and if I go to the outside we have the round corners here. Now if I change it back to the first one, you can see that the corners are linear. Right now I can go here. Now we have some slanted transition between the corners on the edges, so we can choose the profile from here very easily. We can go here. If I select the dashed layer or the dashed profile for the stroke, now we have the dashed profile. I can change the length of this line by, if I change it from here like 1, you can see that we have reduced it. Now we can reduce the gap. If I change it to the 1 like this, now I can add something 2. So the first one, the first box, or you can say that the first line in this profile will have 1 pixel length, and the second one will have 2 pixels length, and after that again it will have 1 pixel length, and the fourth one will have 2 pixel length. Likewise, if I change the gap, you can notice that some boxes or some lines have different length of gap between each other, and some have different length of gap between them. Likewise, I can extend it to the third line. For that I can change it to 4 and 2. Then you can see that we have customized it very well, very easily. If you have any doubts regarding this, you can ask me here. To understand this more, I am going to create a straight line. For that, what I will do, I will create a new layer. So I can click here and the second point will be here. So now we have a straight line. So now I can increase the width of this like this. Now we will change the profile of the stroke. For that I will go here. Now I will go to the more options. You can see that the lines, each line have 4 pixels length in this way, and the gap is 2 pixels. So now what we will do, I will reduce it to the 1. So now every line have 1 pixel length. So now the gap will be 1 pixel. So the 1 pixel is the gap and 1 pixel is the length of the stroke line. So now the second, now you will see changes in this box. You will notice a change in this box. For that I am going to increase this box to 2 pixels like this. Now you can see that we are getting 1 pixel, 2 pixel, 1 pixel, and then 1 pixel, 2 pixel, 1 pixel, likewise. So I can change the gap for this, like I want to put 0.5 here. I can change the third profile to 3. Now 0.5 like this. You can see that we can adjust the first tree and it will manage in the sequence. So we can save the preset here. If I want to save it, I can click on the save. Now we will have same preset saved here. If we are using this in many projects, then we can save it here and use it in as many projects we want. So now I will commit the change. Now we will see the third profile, which is the dots. You can notice the dots. How I can reduce these dots? For that I can reduce the width of the stroke. You can notice that we have reduced this. We can also reduce the gap between these dots. For that I will go here, and now I can reduce the gap. You can see we have less gap than before. So now I can commit the change here. So now you know how we can manipulate the path, or you can say how we can manipulate the stroke here. Now let's delete these layers. So now we will start making the selections with the pen tool, and we will see what is the power of the vector shapes and how they are different from the layer mask and the vector mask and the normal selections. So we can create the vector mask with the pen tool, and we have created the layer mask with the selection tools. So we will compare both. If for that I will make a selection of you can say that an object. For that I am going to the images folder. You can find the link to the images folder in the description. You will get all the images from there. Now in this image we will try selecting this moon. For that I am going to import this moon here. We will try to select it with two methods. First one will be the selection method, by which we will create a layer mask, and the second method will be selecting it with the vector mask. We will create a vector mask with the vector shapes. So for that, for the first one I will use the elliptical marquee tool. I am going to make a selection. I can change the placement of the selection with the space key by holding the space key. Now I can make the selection very easily. I can adjust my selection here. Now you can see that we have a very good selection here. Now I can click here on the layer mask. At this time I have a layer mask very easily. You can see that. So now we will try to select this moon with the shape layers, and we will try to create a vector mask, and we will compare the edges of both masks, the edges created with the both masks. The result will be more crisper with the vector shapes. So I am going to delete this. Now we will start making the selection. For that I will go here, I will select the ellipse tool. So now we will start making this. We can create this shape as we did with the, you can say that, elliptical marquee tool. So I can drag it with the space key, and we can adjust the shape very easily like this. And make sure when you are making the selection with the shape tools, you should have path selected here. You can see that by default you will have the shape selected here, but we need to be in the path mode for this. Now I can make a mask out of it. I can click here to make a mask. You can see that we have a mask now. Now if I compare both masks, we can see that if I zoom in, here is less noticeable, but the edges of the vector mask are more crisper than the layer mask. If you start creating these selections, you can see that on your screen very easily that the result will be far better with the vector mask. But due to the video compression, you are not able to notice the difference between this, but you can try that on your own in this way. So now I am going to press Ctrl 0 like this. So in this way we can create a vector mask. So now we can close this project here. Now let's move further. If I create a shape, like I want to create a shape here, like I am creating this shape. Now you can see that I have forgotten to change the mode here. I have to select the shape mode. Now I can make a shape here. You can see that we have a shape. Now we can merge two layers very easily. You can see that we have a shape layer here. How you can see that? How you can notice that this is the shape layer with this icon? You can notice that the normal layer have no icon, but here you can see that we have a icon which is denoting to the shape layer. So now if I use this, now create a new shape here like rectangle. So this is the shape which we want to create, and we want to save it for the further projects. So how we can do that? I can select both layers here. Now I can right click here, and here you can see that we have the merge shapes. I can click here. So now we have merged the shapes. Now these are this is the same shape now, a single shape. We can save it very well. We can go to the edit. Here you can see that define custom shape, but we cannot do that. Why? Because for that we have to select a vector tool. Right now I am going to select a pen tool. For that I am going to press the P key. Now I can right click here Now I can click here define custom shape. If I click here, I can give it a name like sample. Now I can commit the changes. I can click on OK like this. So if I create a new document, so this is the blank document, but I need the same shape here. For that I will go to the shape tools. Now to the custom shape tool. From here you can select the shapes very easily. We have saw that in the earlier chapter or earlier lesson. Now we will have the newly created shape here in the last. So I can select the shape from here. I can create this shape. You can see that we are distorting it. To prevent that, I have to hold the shift key like this. Now we can change the color of this. We can do anything with it. So now let's do something practical. For that we will select something properly with the pen tool. You can see that say that something complex little bit. So I will go with the so let's bring it in. So now we will try to select this flower, or you can see that these leaves. See there, I can press the P key. I can start making the selection. You can see that we are getting the color because we have selected the shape, but we want the path here, so I will delete this one. Now I will go here and click on path. Now I can start making the selection. Now we have to make a curve here. For that I will click and drag like this. You can see that we can make complex selections very easily with this. Where we need the curve structure, we need to click and drag until we get the proper structure here. You can see that we can create a selection very easily. We can work on the complex selections very easily here. So in this way you can complete this selection. Like now we can create a rough selection here. Because I am creating this for the sample purpose, that's why I created the selection until here. So now we will right click here. I can click on the create vector mask. You can see that I have very sharp edges here. We can adjust it very well. So now we will see that if we create something wrong with the path tool, or you can say that with the shape tool, how we can adjust that. So for that, if I create a shape here with the path, you can see that we have the path here. Now I want to edit this path. What I can do, if I want to delete something, I can click on the anchor which I want to delete. You can notice that we have a minus sign near our nib, the pen nib. I can click here. Now you can see that we have deleted that point. Now I want to add a point. For that I have to go to the line of this path, any line of this path, any point of this path. You will notice that we will have a plus sign near the pen tool. We can click here like this. We can click and drag to make a curve like this. Now we want to change the position of this anchor. How we can do that? For that I can go here. We have two tools. These are the selection tools for the path. So here we have the path selection tool. The second one is the direct selection tool. So the path selection tool will select the whole path. Like if I click here, you can see that the whole path is selected. Now if I move it, you will see that the whole path will move. But if I go here on the direct selection tool, I can click on any point and start dragging it. I can adjust it in any way like this. You can see that we can create so many things with it very easily, like this. There are so many options. Like I can go here, convert point tool. Right now you can see that we have a linear point here. This one is not in curve. I can click here with this tool and add a curve here like this. So you can see that this is a very useful tool. If you get any doubts, if you have any doubts, you can ask me on the live chat. You will also find the add anchor point tool and delete anchor point tool here, but I don't need to use it, because if I want to delete something, I can select the pen tool and go to that point and just click there. The point will be deleted. And if I want to add something, add a point, I can go to the any position on the segment. We will notice a plus sign and I can click here and we can add a point very easily. So that's why I don't use these tools. So now the next thing is, if we go here and select the pen tool. Now the pen tool is selected. I can right click here. We will see some options. We saw that define custom shape. We already defined a custom shape earlier, so we know that. We can delete this path. We can make a selection out of it. If I click here, you can notice that it is asking for the feather amount. I can change the feather amount to somewhat 5 if I want. I can click on OK. So now if I create a new path here like this, now I will right click here. Now I can go to the make selection. You will notice that these options were gray before that, because at that time we don't have any selection on the canvas, but now we have converted a path into a selection. That's why we already have a selection, and now we are going to convert this path into a selection. So now this is asking us whether we need to create a new selection and delete the previous one, or we want to add this selection to the previous one, or we need to subtract this selection, or we need to intersect with the previous selection. So now I want to subtract this selection from the previous one. You will notice that we will have only this part. So I am going here. You can see that we have only this part of the selection. So now we will create a new path here. We will see some other options. We can go here. Now we can see free transform path. We saw the same option in the selections tool. So what we can do with it, we can distort it, we can transform it, we can scale it, we can rotate it. You can notice these control points. I can right click here, we can flip it horizontally, we can flip it vertically, we can rotate it to 180 degree, we can rotate it clockwise 90 degree. We can use so many options here. We can distort it very well like this. We can skew it like this. We can create a perspective with it like this. We can also rotate it if we want. Not even that, we can also scale it like this. We can also go to the freeform path. In this way we can scale it, we can rotate it. So we can do these two things with the freeform path. Now after that we can commit the changes from here. So let's move to the next option. So here we have some missing options. Why we have these missing options? Because here you can notice that we have a layer with the you can say that with the vector mask. So now I am going to create a new layer. I will right click here. So now I should have some options here like a fill path. I can fill this path with the foreground color. What is the foreground color? This one is the foreground color, the gray one. Now if we can fill it with the background color, this one is the background color, red one. So we can change use a custom color. If I click here, you can see that we can select a custom color from here. So these are the main options here. We can adjust the opacity of the fill color. We can change the blending mode. These are the same blending modes which we have here in the layers panel. So we can add the feather here. After that we can click on OK. So we don't have the color here. I don't know why. We can create a new layer here or new path here and try that on it. I will go to the fill subpath. I will change a color to something like this. Now I will click OK. You can see that we have the blue color here, but due to maybe some bug, we don't have a color here. We can right click here. We can select this path if we want like this. Now I can right click here, fill subpath. We can see what happened earlier. Now you can see that we have the color here. So in this way we can fill the path very easily if we want to. So if I scale it, let's see what effect we will get. Let's delete it and now press Ctrl T here on the layer. So we need to press the escape. Whenever this happens, press the escape key. In this way you will get rid of the path. Now if I press Ctrl T, I can scale the layer very easily. You can see that we have very crisp edges here. This is because of the vector paths. Whenever we create something with the vector, or you can say that whenever we create something with the vector techniques, we will have a sharper edges. which we will not get with the rasterized layers. Like if I create a shape here, or let's say we are going to create a ellipse here. So I am going to create a ellipse here. This one is the ellipse. Now I will copy this ellipse here. Now I will right click here on the right one. Here you can see that we have the option of rasterize layer. I will rasterize it. Now if I scale it, you will notice that we have some jagged edges. You can notice that. But if I scale this one is the vector circle, so this will not lose its quality if I scale it to any amount. You can see that we have a better edges here in the circle as compared to the right circle. So this is the difference between the quality of the vector and the rasterized layer. So this is it for today, and we will talk day after tomorrow. We will have a session on Monday at 9 p.m. So see you then. If you haven't subscribed yet us, please subscribe us and do press the bell icon for the further notifications. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me now in the live chat even after the session. And if you get any doubts later on, you can ask me anything on my social handles. All the links are present in the description. You can get all the links of my social handles from there and contact me there. We will be happy to solve your problems with the Photoshop. Thanks for watching.